the world they inhabit.
Right.
A great example, David Pakman. He had a video. He's got so many. It's remarkable. And I think this is why Democrats are in complete and utter disarray right now. It said, Donald Trump threatens to wipe blue states off the map. This literally never happened. Donald Trump said in the midterms, you're going to be surprised. In fact, these blue states might get totally disappeared from the map. We know what he was saying. He was saying that they're going to turn red.
Right.
There will be no more blue states because they will be red. And David Pakman titles it, Trump threatens to wipe blue states off the map.
One in this video, Tim Pool and the crew over at Timcast IRL dive into a discussion about left-wing commentators. Tim goes through some of the biggest moments, highlighting figures like Sam Seder, David Pakman, and even the mischievous Luke Beasley. With that, let's sit back and watch Tim and his team roast our favorite liberal pundits.
General structure of American population.
30% of America's. Yeah.
No, but even no, because if you go look at the Sam Seder ones, all of them are Sam Seder crushed them. Like he has a coherent worldview and they don't. So if you look at these LGBTQ ones where they do have a chance to open their mouth and a few words utter out of their mouth, you get to see their true colors.
You know, the thing about Sam is that he's got like a high school equivalent education. And I'm not saying that to drag him.
At best.
Again, I'll stress this to all his fans. I am not saying this to be like, oh yeah, well, he's dumb. I'm saying when I tried debating him, it was like 7 years ago. This is like the famous moment where I mentioned that his view on universal health care was basically an argument between deontological moral ethics and utilitarianism. And he says, I don't know what that means. And I'm like, oh. At that point, I should have said, okay, Sam, read some philosophy books to better understand moral ethics and philosophy, and then maybe we can try and understand the world together. But I should probably just say, if you don't know what these things are, I don't know how we have a conversation. Instead, I made the mistake of trying to dumb it down so that someone of his limited knowledge, again, not meant to be an insult, I'm saying he literally didn't know what deontology is. If I try to dumb it down so he can comprehend that, he started mocking it and making jokes about it. It's like, okay, so he literally can't comprehend, nor can he hold a serious conversation. And then I think you had the famous moment you asked him about consequentialism.
Yeah, utilitarianism. Because what I established at the beginning was like, well, you gotta hear when you hear this guy's show, all he does is just talk a bunch of smack. And he says Trump is evil, conservatives are evil, religion is evil. But I asked him on what basis? Is it a preference? He said yes, it's a preference. He even admitted on his show after it's all a preference. So if it's all a preference, if we take trans rights away, women's rights away, you have no problem with that. So anything is...
Yeah, this is the guy who interviewed Sam Seder in that now infamous disastrous debate for him on that surrounded episode of Jubilee. His name is Eliezer Perez and he did an excellent job. I get what Tim is saying though, and I can totally see Sam Seder's audience reacting by saying, what are you saying, he's dumb? Oh, you have to have a college education. Even though Tim has clearly explained his point, I can still picture them getting upset about it. That's just how they are. I also remember when Tim brought up utilitarianism. And Sam said he didn't know what that was, not in a combative way. But Tim tried to explain it using an analogy, comparing it to superheroes like Captain America and Thanos. It was actually a pretty good analogy, but if Tim's point here is correct, Sam just started making fun of the analogy. It's so typical of the lack of self-awareness these left-wing pundits have. You're laughing at him over an analogy that you probably don't even understand or know if it's right, considering you admit you don't even know what the terms he's using mean. Do you really think you should be the one laughing? Tim was kind enough to try and explain things in a debate-style conversation, but then Eliezer said on his show that all Sam does is talk smack, which is a solid point. Honestly, I've said the same thing Sam and Emma Vigeland. They just complain and whine, taking far left, often ridiculous positions, and playing clips of other people to make fun of them. There's nothing substantive that comes out of those discussions. Even when they're on another show, they're not bringing much value to the conversation. I think this is common for most left-wing commentators with a platform. They just push an agenda with no real effort to find common ground or walk away from the conversation understanding the other person better. Anyway, let's get back to the video.
That after that was a self-contradiction. It was a self-refutation. So if you say it's all a preference and then you put into the purview of morality, that's a self-refutation.
Right.
So he doesn't know what he's... So if you have...
He could not comprehend what you just said to me right now.
Right. So the reason why this is important is if you have no system, if you say, oh, I'm just going to go with the flow, it's all arbitrary. It's all willing to change overnight. So if he says raping is wrong right now, tomorrow he could believe in rape.
Well, yeah. This is and this is a prominent liberal podcaster with millions of subscribers, and this is the world they inhabit.
Right.
A great example, David Pakman. He had a video. He's got so many. It's remarkable. and I think this is why Democrats are in complete and utter disarray right now. It said, Donald Trump threatens to wipe blue states off the map. This literally never happened. Donald Trump said in the midterms, you're going to be surprised. In fact, these blue states might get totally disappeared from the map. We know what he was saying. He was saying that they're going to turn red.
Right.
There will be no more blue states because they will be red. And David Pakman titles it, Trump threatens to wipe blue states off the map. And he gets 500,000 views from it. And these low IQ individuals, limited comprehension, are going, oh, whoa, and they watch it.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine a good portion is hate watching, though. But
Sure. Yep. Is that why guys like Luke Beasley, like he's a pundit, he does a show, like he's supposed to be all knowledgeable and whatnot, and Enrique is just a dude who got sentenced sometimes and was living the life. Is that why he won't talk to Enrique?
Luke Beasley will not debate Enrique Tarrio because Luke Beasley doesn't know anything about January 6th. And there's that extremely viral clip where I was yelling at him saying, you want to put people in prison without, and everything. And part of what I was saying, I misspoke on one. I said a guy without charge or trial. I meant.
If you enjoy videos like this one, don't forget to like and subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. Now let's get back to the video.
Without trial or bail. Some people have contested whether it's his administrative actions that are doing that. But so I was not even perfect in that regard. But he doesn't know anything at all. And we recently had on Culture War, we had Prime, who was debating Gibbs, and we were discussing Doge. Now this dude Prime, he's a Twitch streamer, fantastic. Liberal guy, we argued. I thought he was wrong. He pushed back. He argued why he thought he was right. And I said, okay, so now we're arguing about our interpretations of the Constitution, and this is an actual legal debate that neither of us are qualified to actually answer. We just have preference, worldview on how the courts should operate based on these provisions. I can respect his arguments. With all due respect to Luke Beasley, he would say things like, they should go to jail. And I'd go, why? And he goes, I don't know. You tell me. I'd be like, what?
And he squint his eyes then.
And yeah.
He always squinted his eyes.
And then whenever I cited examples of things to prove a point, he would say, stop giving me anecdotes. And it's like, I am literally citing instances in which a thing occurred. So all he really had was the talking points.
The rhetoric.
But that's it.
Yeah.
They have emotions. So what is your goal in debating a liberal, right? I mean, it's rhetorical.
Tim really nailed it there, summing up the left wing, especially the ridiculous people who represent them online. All they've got are talking points, usually from the mainstream media, and they're driven by emotion. That's about it. I've covered a lot of David Pakman clips, but I haven't mentioned this before. He titles his videos in wild ways to get clicks, and I get it. But framing something like Donald Trump's comment about no more blue states and twisting it into a claim that Trump is threatening to wipe blue states off the map, that's a stretch. Tim also called his audience low IQ, and honestly, I don't know who listens to these people. One person mentioned it's probably mostly hate watching, but as much as I wish that were the case, I don't think it is. I've looked at the comment sections, and it's clear people are genuinely cheering David on no matter how out there his points are. So there's definitely an audience for it, but I still can't wrap my head around who exactly makes up that audience. It must mostly be young people, right? Older folks, hopefully, would be a little wiser than to tune into someone like David Pakman or Sam Seder. As for Luke Beasley, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's mostly young people watching him too, so that makes sense. And as for Luke Beasley, that viral clip where Tim is chewing him out for making crazy claims. That's all the evidence you need to see he doesn't know anything about January 6th, except some talking points. He'd never dare debate Enrique Tarrio of the Proud Boys because based on that clip, it's clear he's got no real understanding of January 6th. Just a few bullet points he either copied or wrote down from watching CNN or MSNBC. Anyway, let's get back to the video.
Are you trying to convince them? Are you trying to convince people who are watching? Okay. If you're trying to convince people who are smart, very little need be done. Do your best. Do a show like this. Smart people will say, sure. I respect that you're treating me with intelligence. If you're trying to convince the typical liberal, then what you need to do is make them make fun of them, because their reactions are entirely emotional and social orthodoxy based. So if you want to win a debate with Sam Seder, you have to insult him. No matter what he says, you have to act like it's the stupidest thing anyone's ever said. That's how they debate.
That's crazy.
So if Sam says something like universal health care is a right, you'll be like, all right. This dude, you don't even know what rights are, dude. Oh, I can't believe you should be so stupid. Do you have any idea how stupid you look? And then what's going to happen is all the clips are going to go around and they're going to be like, oh, that was so dumb. I can't. But you make them look dumb and trigger their emotions. People on the right are going to be like, whatever. But that's the game.
Dude, that's such a spot-on description of debating with someone from either side. The right tends to be way less emotional about things. If I'm wrong about something, I don't double down. I own it and move on. But when you're debating liberals, especially progressive commentators like Sam Seder, they just can't seem to admit when they're wrong or acknowledge that their beliefs could be tweaked a little bit for more common ground. As for Tim's point about not being able to talk rationally with someone like Sam Seder and needing to insult him, yeah, it's kind of a bummer because that's not how you want a debate to go. But I get what Tim's saying. I get why people don't enjoy debating Sam Seder. He'll probably just claim people are scared. But what he's really after is a moment where he can make the other person look foolish. That's all he does with Emma Vigilant on his show. He plays clips of conservative commentators, laughs at them, makes jokes, and calls them dumb. That's the kind of language he speaks, and it seems like that's the only way to debate him. Honestly, that doesn't sound like much fun to me. But we want to hear from you. What do you think of these left-wing pundits like Sam Seder, David Pakman, and Luke Beasley? Are any of them good debaters? Am I getting this wrong? Do they actually have good points, and is their audience really that smart? Or am I missing something? Am I just the dumb one here? Of course, these aren't mutually exclusive. I could definitely be wrong, and I probably am. But am I crazy for thinking these audiences are a bit low IQ and I just don't get where they're coming from? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. As always, thanks so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.